everyone.
Perfect. I will call the meeting to order. It's 9:30 a.m. Gonna start with any additions or deletions. I don't see it on here. There was an ask to have Remembrance Day representation added to the agenda.
Yeah, if we can just have a quick discussion about it, make sure that we got our bases covered.
Okay, I'll add that under 8.1. New business for Remembrance Day delegations, representation, sorry. Councillor McNeil?
Can we also add to revise the community committee assignments? My apologies, so losing my words. So we just had a change generally to exchange one of our assignments.
Okay. We'll put that under 8.2, Mr. Ferris, or?
Yeah, we can put that under 8.2 as committee appointments.
Perfect.
Anything else from council? Administration, any additions, deletions?
No, I think we might just expand on the committee appointments one beyond just what Councillor McNeil asked.
Okay. If that, Councillor Coogan?
I'll move that the agenda be adopted as amended.
Thank you, Councillor. With that, I'll call the question. All in favor? And we are carried. Adoption of the minutes, we have two. 4.1, the organizational council meeting minutes. Any discussions? Not seeing anything. Councillor Dean?
I'll move that council approve the organizational council meeting minutes from October 29th, 2025 as presented.
Thank you, Councillor. Discussion to the motion? Not seeing any. Call the question. All in favor? Those minutes are moved. And our regular council meeting minutes of 4.2 from October 29th, 2025. Anything, if anybody?
I can do that one too.
Councillor Dean?
Move the council adopt the regular council meeting minutes of October 29th, 2025 as presented.
Thank you, Councillor. With that, I will call the question. All in favor? And that's carried. Delegations we're waiting for today. So 7.1 policy ISR 6.204 vegetation management and roadside cleanup policy. Good morning, Don and Jeff.
Good morning, Your Worship, members of council. We have a revised policy from our last council presentation. We have removed the typo in the previous draft policy. I apologize for that typo. And also we have looked into a bit further into past practices because trying to answer the question of level of service. I did a writing updating the RFD that I have counted 84 kilometers of county roads in 2025. With this new policy adopted, we're at about 84.5, so minor changes to the number of kilometers, but generally staying the same level of service. So you can expect the local community groups to be receiving similar level of funding overall between the years. I hope that addressed one of council's questions. The other question that was asked is whether the county was cleaning any gravel roads and whether subdivision roads were cleared. I looked back into the 2019 policy just to read the list of roads. It is my interpretation that at the time that the policy was written and approved by council, the intent is only to look after hard surface roads, despite how the roads were named. I have also addressed, I will be addressing some of Councillor McNeil's comments regarding communication in the procedure, not in the policy. So those are the changes or updates for council. If I have any further questions, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Council discussion? Councillor McNeil?
I'm prepared to move that we accept policy IS-R 6.204 vegetation management and roadside cleanup policy as presented.
Thank you, Councillor. Discussion on the motion. Not seeing any, I'll call that question. All in favor? That's moved. Counselor Dean?
We also need to do motion one, right, within that RFT? To rescind the,
We need to rescind the
Oh.
policies also.
Thank you, Counselor Dean, sorry.
Counselor Kuchen?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that council rescinds policy 6309, 6312, 3216, 3217, and 3228.
Thank you, Counselor. Discussion to that motion? Not seeing any, I'll call that question. All in favor? And that's carried. 8.1 Remembrance Day representation. We've, Counselor Dean?
yeah, I just had a through the chair to council. I'm not sure which communities have Remembrance Day celebrations. I believe Fort Assiniboine does, Blue Ridge does, and Whitecourt. I'm not sure about Anselmo.
Anselmo, no.
Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that we were represented. I think it's been general practice that we receive an invitation from the Legion and we have the opportunity to lay a wreath or at least provide attendance, and I haven't seen those letters, so I don't know.
Did have a phone call I got a couple days ago from the Whitecourt Legion asking if I'd be willing to lay a wreath. I know they did just phone.
Sure.
I know Bruce, I'm not sure if it was Blue Ridge or Mayerthorpe that he went to.
Through the chair, Blue Ridge doesn't do any
They
Remembrance
don't,
Day
okay.
services, we don't have a Legion anymore.
Okay,
So I think Bruce was attending Mayerthorpe.
okay.
Councillor Whitten?
Yeah, Fort Assiniboine Legion has contacted me and want me to say a few words and lay a wreath down at the memorial, so.
Okay, awesome. That's all I just wanted to make sure that we had our bases covered. So I could move that we accept Remembrance Day discussion as information.
If I could, just one to the motion, CAO Ferris. Could I bother you, I'm not sure who the contact would be for the Mayerthorpe Legion, but to see if they're expecting representation.
Absolutely.
Thank
We're
you.
gonna add that into that motion.
Okay, thank you. So amended motion on the floor. Any discussion to that motion? Not seeing any, call the question. All in favor? That's moved. 8.2 committee appointments. You had a couple adjustments, Councillor McNeil.
Yes, just in discussing with Counselor, we were just looking at changing the Emergency Management Committee and the Enforcement Review Committee. So currently I'm on the Enforcement Review and, go ahead. Oh, wait, sorry, yes, my apologies, Protective Services. So the Emergency Management Committee and Protective Services Committee, thank you. So those are the two that we were looking at switching the appointments on.
So for clarification, we
Oh.
need to appoint
Sorry,
Councillor Wright to Emergency Management and Councillor McNeil, or
the other way
Okay.
around, sorry.
so Emergency Management for Councillor McNeil and Protective Services for Councillor Wright. Any issues or concerns with council on changing the appointments? If I can get a motion then to, I'll make the motion that we appoint Councillor McNeil to our Emergency Management Committee and Councillor Wright to the Protective Services Committee. Discussion on that? All that question, all in favor? Okay, that is moved, and CAO Ferris, you had
Yes, Councillor Culkin reached out to me, and just from a point of clarification with, as you'll see with some of the committees, a lot's changed in the last 4 years with appointments. We did confirm that we need an appointment for the Barhead FCSS committee. It was in the package, but it was not on your checklist for committees, so we just need a formal motion appointing someone to the Barhead FCSS. Historically, it was Councillor Culkin.
Councillor Dean.
I could move that council appoints Councillor Colkin to the Barhead FCSS committee.
Okay, any discussion? Everybody okay with that appointment? Call the question, all in favor? Congratulations again, Peter. And that was, we're good to move there, Matthew? Okay,
Yes.
just making sure you get nothing else on that one. 9.1 councillor reports. We'll start Councillor Whitten. I know we haven't had much in the last couple weeks, but last
No,
week.
just attended the Fort Assiniboine Fire Department haunted house. It was fantastic. very well received. They had, I think just the Saturday before, they had 300 and some people come through there. Friday was 150 some, so it was very well. And yeah, just Remembrance Day ceremonies, if everyone could attend, that'd be fantastic.
Thank you. Any questions for Councillor Whitten? Councillor McNeil?
I just wanted to add on, I also attended the haunted house in Fort Assiniboine on Halloween, and it was spectacular. It was so incredibly well done. There was, I believe, across the 3 days, they said over 800 people, and they raised just under $1,500 for the Stollery. So I definitely would, it's probably gonna be my new Halloween thing, is to go there every year. And we got some extra special treatment, I think, going through, because they knew in advance, my friend and I, that we're going through, and you know, we definitely got a couple extra scares. So it certainly would rival anything that you would see in the city. You know, it was exceptionally well done. And other than that, yesterday we had our finance and tax meeting, and we definitely, it provided an opportunity to review and discuss several proposed additions to the 2026 budget. So, and those discussions will help ensure that when the budget comes before council, we already have some necessary background information to streamline those deliberations. Yeah, and other than that, that was pretty much it, kind of getting settled in, so.
Thank you. Any questions for Councillor McNeil? Councillor Wright?
Yesterday, November 5th, I attended the Blue Ridge Golden Agers luncheon. They had the RCMP there to do a presentation. And then I just got to get up and introduce myself formally, now representing council, so that was a lot of fun.
Thank you. Anything for Councillor Wright? Councillor Dean?
Last Thursday, October 30th, I attended the EDA Ministers Dinner. First time for me, and it was a great opportunity to meet and network with a number of different ministries. So the format of the dinner, I think there were 18 tables, and there were 6 groups from a variety of ministries, some federal, most provincial, that would rotate around, kind of like speed dating. So they'd be there for one course and introduce what their department had to do and entertain questions. So there was a lot of really good information that came from it. Joan's already been picking my brain a little bit, the stuff that I can remember. But yeah, it was an interesting affair.
Thank you, Councillor. Questions, Councillor Dean? Councillor St. Martin?
I attended the Finance and Taxation Committee meeting, was appointed chair, and Councillor McNeil gave a good recap of that committee meeting, and that's all. Thank you.
Any questions for Councillor St. Martin? None. Councillor Kluken?
Yeah, November 3rd, I attended the Connect for Food through Agri-Food Alberta at Festival Place in Sherwood Park, and it's part of the role that I play on the Growth Alberta Partnership, and because of my interest in the ag-food sector and local food security, I've been involved with this group now for 4 years, and the biggest part of what I do there is to learn exactly how to position regional economic development in all sectors, which aligns with the strategic plan that we have as a municipality in regional economic development. And it was an incredibly, probably the first real learning experience for me, that it takes a lot of time, because this group has been organizationally for 5 years, and now they've got some incredible traction. And so for me, it was a good place to network with some of the counties that are now participating, and how they actually were able to, or why they were there as municipalities. And so that was a real eye-opener for me. It was much like a speed dating thing. I got to meet people from all sectors of the agri-food sector, and they had a panel discussion on both opportunity and roadblocks. And what was really interesting is that our Ag Service Board already has a bit of a thumbprint on some of the blocks that are in our way to, you know, help that ag food sector grow and make it something that's valuable for our municipalities. So it was a really good learning experience, and I'm gonna continue to take that information to our Growth Alberta partnership to see if we can implement some of those strategies in our upcoming EMC2 proposals. So the other thing is I attended the finance and taxation yesterday with great frustration because I couldn't really chime in on, I had to text in with Dave any comments I had, so I was kept fairly quiet, so I'm getting my time in right now. But that's it for me, thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion for Councillor Coogan? Councillor Dean?
Just a question, I guess, to all three members of that taxation committee. Not that we have to get in great detail, but is there a plan coming to deal with the minimum tax as it relates to grazing leases?
They gave us an update on where it is and what the policy kind of says, what it entailed. And they said that will be coming, I guess, ahead to the rest of council for another discussion.
Okay.
Anything else for Councillor Coogan? My report, this is the last council meeting, had an industry breakfast there end of last week. Met with a lot of the was forestry driven on this one here, and they're talking, I guess, policy wise to the provincial government and a lot of the roadblocks that are set up right now. It's very hard for forestry currently. A lot of their external funding, they're been told corporately to try to hold back on while they're trying to navigate through what they're doing. So hopefully, I understand it's roadblocks on shipping and where things go and the market prices, but hopefully that gets corrected for them. One thing that did come out of that meeting though, and I did have a quick discussion with CAO Ferris on, is I forgot my piece of paper, so you know, don't take this the wrong way if I get the name wrong, but I believe it's the Friends of Whitecourt Society. They run the Repeat Boutique in town, and they do a lot of fundraising through the auxiliary end for the hospital and healthcare. They are currently funding for a new CT machine for the area. They have a majority of the funding already captured, and they're currently reaching out to industries. And given I was at that breakfast, it was asked that we bring it back and possibly at the municipal level we look at it too, given budgets are coming. I do have information for the CAO, I will get to him, but just trying to feel out council and just see if possibly getting them as a delegation to show where they are and, you know, what they need, because I do believe it is beneficial for the area to have that type of technology here, so.
Yeah.
And, okay, I'll get the information to you, Matthew, and then we can work on that end. Had the opportunity to go to the Whitecourt Fire Awards, gave us, I guess, a quick congratulatory speech there, and had the opportunity to hand out some of their service awards with Ray Hiltz from Whitecourt. And other than that, we had the meeting here yesterday, so lots of information coming out. We'll see how administration plans on funding some of the new initiatives when we have the rest of the details into it, but it was a very informative meeting. That is, oh, and I guess next thing, we did have an invite, I know it came short order, invite from the town to join them next week at the Alberta Munis, and amongst the discussion that I had with a couple of the town councillors, I know this is short order and registrations are probably full, but they were wondering if we were gonna reciprocate this year too, so I'm just wondering for administration, would that be, I know it is a cost, I know we would have to look into it, and it's like a week away, it'd be probably short order, in my opinion, to try to arrange something currently. Councillor Coogan? Oh, I did just looking if it's worth trying to reach out, or should we plan for next year when we have time to actually plan and get them in the same block?
We will absolutely plan for next year. That said, we can try to squeeze them in this year if you'd like.
And just,
registration's closed, so I can't guarantee.
okay, and that's where I would say if registration's closed, we'll look at that for next year through the budget cycle. We did do it last council term. We brought the mayor and the deputy mayor with us to fall RMA. There is a lot of value to it to have those discussions and see things from both sides. I was planning on bringing that forward a little bit later, you know, given for next year, but they kind of beat us to the punch and put it in short order, so I just wanted to kind of test it out. But if registration's closed, we'll have those discussions next year and make it formal, I guess, for the invites. Anything from council for myself? Seeing Councillor Coogan? Oh,
I'll
sorry.
make it.
Did you have a comment, Councillor?
Yeah, I did, sorry. And you know, not to suggest that anybody has done anything wrong or forgotten to do anything. It's really on council to put something like this on administrators' radar, because it is a good time when you have new councils, you know, it makes sense, and unfortunately registration is closed, but I really think going forward, this particular set of conferences following an election, that it makes sense to make sure that we have the money and we have the process. So next spring is fine, or next fall is fine to invite them along, but I think we need to keep in mind in our whatever year that is budget cycle that we wanna address this so that we're not scrambling at the last minute.
I definitely recommend the fall RMAs. There's a lot more happens in the fall than in the spring.
Sure.
And Councillor Coogan, you are.
Yeah, I was just gonna make a motion to accept council reports as information.
Thank you, Councillor. Discussion on his motion? Call the question, all in favor? That's moved. 10.1, request from council authorization to send formal letters to the town of Whitecourt on partnership opportunities.
Thank you, Ritush. So after some discussions with the Reeve about how proactive the town has been on continuing to improve upon their existing relationships, there were two issues that we have been trying to deal with administratively with various degrees of success. This year with our ambassadors program, we were quite successful in our engagement. But the issue that we have is we look at it as a collaborative approach, because there are two parties in some of that engagement. We share resources, and we wanted to not only just get the feedback of our residents, but residents from the town at our events and facilities that we jointly contribute to. We were able to come up with a survey for our events that was okayed by both administration, and we did quite successfully do a bunch of different events throughout the region with the same survey, same standard. There were some discussions in relation to a separate survey with different questions for facilities. I will say that we dropped the ball to some degree in engaging the town to finalize that survey, to get authorization for our ambassadors to do it on their site, so it is entirely on the town. But we still would like to continue that discussion and conduct those surveys at facilities that are owned by the town but partnered to with us. And further to that, we are currently doing an origin destination study of key traffic network throughout the region, to get a better understanding of the data. And that's a common practice in the transportation field, using origin destination data, particularly where you have situations where there's significant fluctuations in travel, but there's also not enough vehicle numbers to merit true traffic counts, because some of the areas are more rural and remote. As part of that study, there was an optional component to conduct some analysis of origin destination studies on roads within the town network. The reason for that optional idea was we share resources for these towns, and it would be good for both sides to have a better understanding of who the actual usual base is. Now, it was an optional component of a tender that we sent out, recognizing that we hadn't engaged in 2024 with the town about this as a project for 2025, so recognizing they hadn't budgeted for it. And we have heard some comments, some positive, some negative, about some of the surveys that have occurred within our jurisdiction. Ultimately, the advice that we've heard from administration is that the previous council did not want to participate in any further surveys, either at their facilities or as origin destination data. that said, in speaking with the Reeve, it appears that the thought process and willing to be engaged and be partners may have changed. And so we're asking that you send a letter formally to their council to see if it will change. Recognizing there's a cost to the origin destination study, we actually budgeted within our budget the full cost of it, so there isn't a requirement that the town contributes. If they wanted to, they're more than welcome to. But with ultimately, we were willing to cover this cost and share the data with the town. It was just because it was their property, we needed authorization to conduct those surveys, both for the facilities as well as the roads, from them because they are the owners. And we are finalizing the event survey data. The town, I believe, has been provided the raw survey data as well. And if they haven't, it will be provided in short order. And we will be providing reports as they come into council about what we found from that data, from the facilities surveys that we've completed within ours, as well as the origin destination data as the first phases are coming into completion. But that said, we still believe we could make the data better, particularly at some of the facilities in the town that have a higher usage in the winter, whether it be the arena or the ski hill or some of those areas where there wouldn't be a significant use in the summer anyway. And then further to that, the origin destination survey data, we would like to continue if possible. So we are asking that the letter provided be sent to the town to request their engagement formally.
Just a question before we send a letter. I know we've had communications where we've been kind of stifled a little bit from town administration on the community partnership grant that we're looking at for the IDP. Has there been any willingness on their end yet to work with it? If not, given that it is a grant and the IDP is overdue, the IDP needs to get done, it is an expense borne by both municipalities. If we're getting hung up administratively, maybe we add that in here as well, given it does benefit both municipalities financially to be partnered in that.
Through the chair, absolutely agree. What we have done slightly different for that is because there's currently a motion for us to apply for the IDP. We have drafted a letter for the Reeve to sign separately, formally asking their council to be a partner. Recognizing that, yes, their administration may be recommending a different timeline for it, but we do believe it's a priority.
Any other discussion from council? Councilor McNeil?
I support the idea of the letter and have some concern regarding the surveys first. So we haven't seen the results of the ambassador survey, nor have any information at the council level about the origin destination study. And I realize the results from the study aren't complete and would definitely like to know more. I think when it comes to the survey on the council or on town property, it's a really good gesture, like you said, where it's already been budgeted. I think that's a good ask going forward. I think that we should invite them to have input into what those survey questions are, which from discussions I had, sounds like that used to be the practice in the past. Then that way, when the data is presented, it's going to be not disputed by both sides. So, and I think that could really add value going forward. Also, the only interaction I know that I had with the study, the origin study, was getting stopped myself, and the comments that I had around the community when we were campaigning. And the concerns with some of those questions is, again, they weren't tied to a resident, they weren't tied to a location. I had residents say that they were stopped and surveyed multiple times, the same person. And so based on that kind of information affecting the data, then I have some concerns about the validity of that data when it's presented.
If I may, in terms of the surveys through the ambassador program and also the town, that's exactly what we've done. We've tried to work with the town to get questions that we were both agreeable with. For the events one, the one that was actually implemented, the town agreed to those questions. As for the origin destination, yes, you will get double asks. Unfortunately, with the typical structure of a transportation engineer conducting that survey, those questions are pretty standard for the profession. We did add an additional question on recreation. But the problem with origin destination studies is, yes, you will get repeats. That is a common problem. It's no different than when you do a traffic analysis with a camera. You're going to get the same person multiple times during the week because that's their commute. And the important thing is it doesn't necessarily matter where the people are coming from in an traffic origin destination study. It, like, in the scope of if they're a resident, it does just give us a better concept of the total usage of the road. What we did find even in the surveys that yes, the town of Whitecourt residents use a significant number of our recreation facilities, but we also had a large component from Drayton Valley, Fox Creek, Edmonton. So those are definitely going to be caught in that data as well. No survey mechanism will be perfect, but we are trying to follow the industry practices for origin destination status, just so that's accountable from an infrastructure point of view for the roads.
Councillor McNeil?
Just a follow-up, what's the financial impact of that origin destination study?
If I may, you're usually referring to the total dollar cost?
Mhm.
The total dollar cost was approximately $99,000. We required tenders and we went with the best proposal.
Thank you.
Anything else from council? Councillor St. Martin?
Mr. Reeves through to the CAO. I concur with some of what Councillor McNeil has raised. I do think there is value in having that partnership with the town to be involved in the formation of the questions, so that we don't get disagreement after the fact. But with that being said, I do support this letter being sent.
And just for clarification, administration said with the surveys that we have done, they have reached out to the town to look at the questions and help formalize them, so
Absolutely.
that looks like the practice that we've been following.
If I may, those requests might actually be better if they go through the ICF committee, and have the elected at that committee make a decision on that, and then maybe the administration would follow through. Just a recommendation. Thank you.
Councillor McNeil?
I concur as well. I think having the ICF committee and it going through is the mechanism, hopefully, that going forward, because they're gonna be the ones that are gonna be meeting to negotiate said data.
Okay, any other discussion? Councillor Dean?
Yeah, through the chair to administration. So I just want to be clear on our ask here. Our ask is to ask the town to cover up to $32,650.
Through the chair, honestly, my ask is that you authorize council to send this letter to their council. We have been unsuccessful administratively, so we believe that to do it between the two councils. If they wish to participate within the 32,000, great. Our budget is designed to incorporate those costs. I fully recognize that they didn't budget that, and to ask them for a project that in last year they weren't preparing for, I don't think is appropriate. But that said, they are in an excellent financial position, and if they wish to, they're more than welcome to.
So to follow up on that, what does partner mean then? So the last paragraph respectfully invites the town of Whitecourt Council to partner with us on these two initiatives.
So to me, partnership in this instance isn't financial. It's to partner in that we agree to do these projects together. We are willing to cover the cost, but we will partner by sharing the data. And my hope is partner and agree that the data source is all true because we all have the same baseline.
Councillor McNeil?
Wondering when is the first meeting of the joint ICF committee?
Don't think it's been established.
It will be, I believe, if I may, I believe it's October and April as per the bylaw. That said, the comments I continue to hear regarding sending these to the ICF committee, I would say these are inappropriate to go to the ICF committee. The ICF committee is strictly related to the agreement. There is a joint liaison committee that speaks to partnerships and new initiatives. But just for a point of clarity, I would just make it clear that this type of thing would be appropriate to go there. What I would say is in some of the initiatives we've done to gather baseline data were done mid-year within the budget, and to get them done, there wasn't an appropriate enough time to collaborate. But going forward with the 2026 budget, there will absolutely be more collaboration at the liaison level to ensure from the get-go that there's a better baseline partnership on various projects where possible.
Okay, now just given that this motion is basically a send a letter to see a willingness for partnership, I'm gonna make a motion that council authorize administration to send the correspondence as presented from Woodlands County Council to the Town of Whitecourt Council. Discussion on the motion.
Friendly amendment to
Okay.
your motion. That council authorize administration to send the orientation, destination study and community study correspondence as presented from Woodlands County Council to the Town of Whitecourt. Just inserting specifically what it is.
Okay, I'll accept. That makes sense. CEO Ferris?
I'm not quite clear what we're inserting, my apologies.
It's just inserting orientation, destination study and community study after the and before correspondence.
Okay, sorry, my apologies.
Okay, amended on the floor. Any discussion to the motion? Not seeing any. I'll call the question. All in favor? That's carried. So we have administrative and department items, no reports, office of the CEO, meeting date change.
Thank you, Kush. With the RMA scheduled for the 17th to 20th of November, and the fact that none of council, including myself, will be here and we will be at that convention, we're respectfully asking that you reschedule the regular November meeting to the 21st, commencing at 9:30. We do recognize that may apply some scheduling issues for some of council, but we are of the opinion that we do need that meeting in addition to a special meeting on budget.
Councilor Wright?
I'm prepared to make that motion.
Okay.
I make a motion that council move the regular council meeting scheduled for November 20th, 2025 to November 21st, 2025, commencing at 9:30 a.m. in the Woodlands County Council chambers.
Thank you, Councilor. Discussion on the motion? Call the question. All in favor? That meeting date is changed. Special council meeting 11D2.
Agree with Kush. As previously mentioned, we're at the point where we do feel it's appropriate now to bring the budget to council for discussion. And with some of the structural changes that we've made, we do think it merits its own standalone meeting. We're respectfully asking that November 27th, starting at 9:30, be a special council meeting to discuss our budget.
Councilor Dean?
Through the chair to admin, what I remember John saying during orientation, I think, was that the budget would be presented during a council meeting at kind of 2 consecutive council meetings. So is that still gonna happen, or is it still gonna happen? Okay.
Councilor St. Martin?
Through the chair, is there an economic development committee meeting that day as well?
That I have no idea.
Hasn't come out.
Through the chair to Councillor St. Martin, the terms of reference indicate that the Economic Development Committee is at the call of the chair. So currently there isn't a date that's been set. Thank you.
Okay, anything else from council? Councilor Dean?
Seeing as we're on the topic of ECDev, there is no chair right now, right?
Correct.
Okay, so is that something? Yeah, well, I'll leave it to you to figure that out.
And with the current absence of the EDO as well, we're kinda,
Sure, okay.
Counselor St. Martin,
I can make the motion. That council hold a special council meeting to discuss operating and capital interim budget matters on November 27th, 2025, commencing at 9:30 a.m. to be held in the Woodlands County Council Chambers located at number 1 Woodlands Lane, Whitecourt, Alberta.
thank you, Counselor. Discussion to the motion? Seeing any, call the question, all in favor? And that is moved. 11D3, Rural Municipalities of Alberta Fall 2025 Convention Overview and Discussion.
Yariv Kush, a councillor had requested that we put this on the agenda just to discuss, mainly because we do have a majority of new councillors, just for understanding. So we will be at the RMA convention in Edmonton, the 17th through the 20th. And as of right now, there is the schedule attached to the RMA convention, which is part of your item. The key items of note beyond that, that just for your calendars, because some invites trickled in before all of council and that sort of thing, so you're aware, is we do have a meeting with Alberta Transportation Administration, November 18th at 10:30. There should be an invite in your calendars if you don't have it. We have booked a meeting with the Barrhead County on November 18th. They have confirmed. And then those are other receptions that various providers are providing, and as more come in, I will provide them to you. But those were the two where formal invites were sent from those organizations to council, so they're there just as a point of reference.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor McNeil?
So through the chair to CO Ferris, just for clarification, so we missed the RMA 101. The expectation is that the entire group is going to the Alberta Transportation meeting?
That's entirely your prerogative. The meetings are 20-minute blocks. So they've only allocated 20 minutes with the administrators from the province.
Okay.
You may be able to just step out as well if so you choose.
Counselor Dean?
I believe if you're talking about Munis 101, I believe that's on the 17th.
No, sorry, it's November 18th at 10:30 a.m. RMA 101, or sorry, no, it's,
Oh, okay,
it ends at 10:45, I believe,
Yeah.
sorry.
well, you'll have been through a full day course on it, so I think you're good.
No, and also as just typically when we do the meetings with the ministers, they're not in a large room, they're in a smaller room. Just it may not warrant bringing all of, yeah, I'm just space wise, last time we went, I think we had 4 councillors and we had people standing. By the time we had all of the ministers, cabinet with them in there too. Just
Mr. Chair, through to CAO Ferris, will administration be providing council with kind of speaking notes for that meeting with the minister, so that we're all on the same page?
Just through the chair for clarity, as I mentioned, this was Alberta Transportation Administration. This is not with the minister. And yes, the speaking notes will be entirely related to STIP funding. That's our biggest issue right now with Alberta Transportation. So you will be provided a briefing note on STIP funding and the issues that relate to it and according to our municipality.
follow up that CO Fair, just for clarification, are we meeting at the Ledge or is this at the convention?
It is in a salon at the convention.
Okay, so there should be room for everybody. Anything else from council? Councilor McNeil?
Just clarification, through the chair to CO Ferris, we haven't received any information on where we're staying.
So through the chair, so all reservations were all at the Weston Hotel. My understanding is you should be receiving it if you haven't, but a lot of them were all booked prior because we didn't know who the counselors were going to be for the rooms. So just with all the other administrative changes with a new election, it just haven't fully been rolled out, but you will get it shortly.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Mr. Chair, I'll just put out there that I can take 5 people in my vehicle if others want to carpool.
Any further discussion? See, Councillor Wright?
I can make the motion that council accept the report titled Rural Municipalities of Alberta Fall 2025 Convention Overview and Discussion as Information.
Thank you, Councillor. I'll call the question. All in favor? That's carried. 11D5, this is the Veterinarian Services Incorporated, VSI Committee. Or did I miss one? Sorry. Woodlands County Community Services, 11D4. All of those.
Good evening, council. So at your organizational meeting held on October 29th, we appointed incorrectly 3 councillors and 1 alternate to the Woodlands County Community Services Committee. What I require is an official motion appointing 2 councillors and 1 alternate.
We appointed too many. Given my time constraint, yeah, I'm willing to step off as the alternate if somebody would like to fill that role as an alternate.
It was
The other 2.
Councillors Kulkin, St. Martin, and Wright. That were appointed.
Like, we need 2 appointments and an alternate. We made 3 and an alternate off of the paper we had there, so I'd be willing to step off as the alternate if somebody wants to take that position. And then so we had Councillor Kukin, Councillor Wright.
I'll step in as the alternate.
Okay. So if the rest of the committee works for everybody else here still, we can get a motion to then appoint Councillors Kukin, and St. Martin to the board with Councillor Wright as the alternate. Councillor McNeil?
I'm prepared to make that motion.
Okay. Motion on the floor, call the question, all in favor? Very well, that is corrected, now the VSI committee.
This one, is the VSI committee, resolution from November 20th, 2024. Made it so that the representative appointment was through the authority to the Woodlands County Agricultural and Services Board. I was not aware of this at the time, so I'm just bringing it here to rescind your appointment of a council representative to the Veterinary Services Incorporated Committee and reaffirm that representation to the VSI Committee is limited to the Woodlands County Agricultural Services Board in accordance with council's November 20th, 2024 motion.
So we'll just have to redo that appointment at the ASB committee. Councillor Coogan?
Yeah, I'll make the motion that council rescind the appointment of council representatives to the Veterinary Services Incorporated VSI Committee and reaffirm that its representation to the VSI Committee is delegated to the Woodlands County Ag Service Board in accordance with council's November 20th, 2024 resolution.
Thank you, Councillor. Any discussion on that? Call the question, all in favor? It's moved. Athabasca Watershed Council Board of Directors.
Okay, did you want to?
No, let's go.
Okay, so clarification was requested regarding the Athabasca Watershed Council Board of Directors. It was assumed that we would appoint somebody, however, this appointment is a Board of Directors seat. This one was with a 2-year term ending June of 2027. Councillor Alan Dean is appointed to this at the current time. If the chair had gone away, then we would have reappointed, but as long as council's okay with that. We just need to receive the clarification for information.
Any discussion there? Councillor Dean?
Yeah, I had a question, so, and I didn't realize that it was a 2-year appointment, so I noticed that it was missed on, or not missed, but it wasn't on that list. And I wanted to ask Councillor Kulkin again, if right now I'm appointed your alternate, would you like to switch that? Sounds like a no? Okay,
At the
that's
moment,
fine.
no, but I think that like you've got a pretty good idea of how that operates now, and you know, if I get a chance as an alternate too, I know a number of those board members in conversation with them quite often, so
Yeah,
I would prefer if you could
the way it is, okay.
take that.
Yeah,
position.
and for the rest of council, this watershed council deals with real-time things like erosion. So it works with producers to find water sources that aren't gonna negatively impact the watershed and you know, deals with the restoration of riparian areas and whatnot. So it really does a lot of good work. And I'm not sure, it came through our Economic Development Committee as an opportunity for our council to be involved, and we made a modest donation, I think of $1,500, and then have representation. So I think as an organization, it provides value to the whole region and to us as a result.
Any discussion? Councillor McNeil?
I'm just prepared to move the council receive the clarification of the Athabasca Watershed Council Board of Directors for information.
Thank you, Councillor. Discussion to the motion? Not seeing any, I call the question, all in favor? Yeah, it's moved. 11D7, the Canadian Association of Nuclear Host Communities.
Okay, and this one is another clarification. So at the February 26, 2025 council meeting, council had a delegation at that meeting virtually to present information to council regarding the membership to the Canadian Association of Nuclear Host Communities. This membership is just an associate membership. It's not required that council appoint anybody to attend. You can, if you just want further clarity, anybody can attend those meetings and the AGM. So it's council's prerogative if they would like to
Councillor
appoint
Dean?
anybody.
Just for council's information, bear in mind that the AGM is in Ottawa, so there's considerable cost to the municipality for where we're at in our SMR journey.
I do believe the AGM's also online, where we can watch that way too.
Okay.
I personally feel that, you know, we could leave this without an appointment, and if an event comes up that's close by or we warrant, we could make a appointment at that time, as, you know, as far as the decision as who's free to go. That's my opinion, Councillor Dean.
So does that mean we continue with our membership but just don't have an appointed delegate and do
Yeah,
that
and
on
that's-
as
it says,
demand?
an appointment to the membership is not required, is what it says in the FD. Councillor McNeil?
It does mention, of course, one of the duties of becoming a member is to attend the AGM, which is held in rotating venues across Canada. Allocating proper funding for the attendance should also be considered. And I do remember previously part of the discussion was the virtual attendance as well. I do see value in assigning somebody to follow this committee simply, and the work that they have going on. Because if we're just looking to appoint a member to attend the online meeting, then I think it's something that it's good to have the background and what the group has been doing for the year, whatever the case may be.
Okay. Which way does council wanna go here? Councillor Dean?
Through the chair to admin, when we discussed this, we decided, what I remember, council decided to go with an associate membership, and I think one of the attractions to that was a lower cost, but I think it didn't obligate you to attendance at the AGM, is that correct? Yeah, okay, all right.
Okay.
Like we were non-voting members of the AGM. It is definitely worth following. Councillor St. Martin?
I can make the motion if you'd like.
Okay.
That council received the clarification on the Canadian Nuclear Host Communities for information.
Thank you, Councillor. Discussion to the motion? Seeing any, I'll call the question. All in favor? It's carried, and I'm sure as stuff comes up, it's definitely administration is watching, and if there's anything that, you know, interests anybody here, we can definitely look at sending somebody. Intermunicipal Collaboration Framework, ICF Supplementary Procedures Implementation, 11D8.
Thank you, Reeve Kush. So this was before you, some of council had called administration and was inquiring about the recent procedure that was put in place, with the town of Whitecourt regarding our ICF dates. The concern being that procedures shouldn't come to council for approval, recognizing that it gets into the operations way, so to speak. And so this item is presented before you, that hopes to explain the reasoning why the procedure is a procedure and why we would recommend keeping it that way. It is definitely different than an administrative procedure. We have a formal written contract with the town of Whitecourt on what our deliverables are. And having a procedure administratively enforced by administration doesn't give it the legal weight or the proper acknowledgement in the opinion of both ourselves and the town of Whitecourt. We've agreed that procedurally, when it comes to expanding the scope of the agreement to get an agreement that we can both properly work with, there is some growing pains that we need to have without fully opening up the entire agreement to the issues that may or may not exist in it currently. And there is legal weight given to documents adopted by councils, not only in a discussion point of view, but in an arbitration point of view and in a legal point of view, where it formally codifies a rule between two different governments. And when they're done in such a way, they can be relied upon in dispute resolutions. So if it ever gets to the point where, for example, we are working actively with the town on a financial procedure, if either one of us breaches it, we have now formalized the process, rather than relying on arbitrary dates that may or may not have been agreed to an administration or an administrator at a given time. Formally, from a legal consideration, they are considered good faith and transparent, and they ensure ongoing compliance. From a Robert's Rule of Order perspective, assemblies can adopt procedures of standing rules or guides to conduct coordination with other bodies. Because we are two separate entities, codifying them in a way is our best mechanism now. Personally, recognizing that our ICF will be coming up for negotiation in 2026, I do see it as a mentality of anything that we've codified by procedure, it means we need to adopt it into our ICF, and it should reduce those negotiations because we've already agreed that this was missing from our documents. And it aligns with the MGA. My recommendation is that we retain the procedure that for ICF expansion where we codify our expectations of both ourselves and the town, we continue the procedure mechanism to a point where we can insert it formally in an ICF agreement with the town.
For clarification, this was passed with us and with the town, with both administrators too, so there was recommendations from both sides of this. Any other discussion on this? Councillor St. Martin?
I can make the motion.
Okay.
That council reaffirm the intermunicipal collaboration framework supplementary procedures implementation with the town of Whitecourt through the recommendations of the intermunicipal collaboration framework committee are to be formally adopted as procedures by council as supporting documents to the ICF.
Councillor, discussion on that? Not seeing any, call the question, all in favor? And that's carried. Takes us nothing in closed session to 13.1, motion to adjourn. Councillor McNeil.
Sure, I'll make the motion to adjourn at 10:27 a.m.
Thank you, no discussion there. Call the question, all in favor? It is carried, we adjourn to 27.
Thank you, everyone. They only get better, Patricia, I promise. Sorry.